My name's Howard Mann, and I'm a healthcare professional. I've been in the healthcare arena for about 36 years. I'd like to talk a little bit today about required data points needed to discuss vendor consolidation with physicians. Discussing vendor consolidation with physicians is a daunting task. There are several reasons for this. One would be understanding what information and data that physicians need or ask for. Another would be gathering data that's documented and repeatable so that physicians can understand what information you're sharing. Knowing that physicians will challenge your data integrity is a part of the process and is something that you should expect. And lack of clinical knowledge sometimes is perceived by supply chain professionals unless they have someone with them who has clinical background. A lack of opposition data, meaning that vendors may disseminate that data to physicians, is also something you should expect and be aware of. And sometimes just an overall lack of confidence in meeting with physicians is a challenge that you will see. So here are some recommended requirements to have successful presentations to physicians, where the ultimate goal is to reduce the number of suppliers for any given product or product categories, specifically medical device manufacturers. And they are: 1, gather white paper data. Start with that, research that first. Include clinical data on recalls, such as FDA Class 1 recalls, and reclassify written comparative data as either biased data, meaning that it was written by or supported by suppliers, but also unbiased data that's written for white, respected magazines or periodicals that physicians rely on. Assemble these into a bibliography, and I would also recommend to cite your sources and to check with any national registries or even international registries typically written in English. Putting all that together for physicians also gives you a good background in the topic that you're discussing. Gather financial data from either your GPO, from independent sources, or databases. Accept physician or stakeholder questions during the process and accept their critique. If you don't know the answer to their questions, make sure that you acknowledge that you do not know the answer, but say that you will find out and get back with them, and then make sure you do so. Credibility is all. Phrase your recommendations as potential strategies rather than foregone conclusions. It's crucial to try to prepare at least 3 options as strategies with physicians. And it's imperative that physicians be invited to be involved in the discussion process with suppliers. Frequently, if the consensus is to consolidate, the physicians normally opt out or distance themselves from vendor discussions, which is also acceptable. Meetings need to be held with vendors to clearly define their role in this process and their communications capabilities and expectations. Physicians also need to be involved in the process where appropriate or where they choose, and vendors need to be included in all parts of the stages of the process. And then have confidence in understanding what the end game should be, but being flexible to know that getting there may come in stages. Hopefully these comments are useful. And if you have any questions or follow-up, we'll certainly try to accommodate those. And thank you for your time.